Hi, this is Ian Dench from EMF,
Things you say, you're unbelievable.
and you're listening to the New Wave Music Podcast.
You're tuned into the New Wave Music Podcast, your go-to destination for exclusive interviews, album reviews, and the latest music news. And now, here's your host, Steve.
Welcome back to the New Wave Music Podcast, and joining me today is a guest who's shaped the late 80s dance pop. You may know their hit, I Beg Your Pardon.
This day on lesson, but no more it's counting me out. And you know what I'm talking about. Smile for a while, let it be a joy. Love shouldn't be so melancholy. Come along and share the good times while we can.
But there's so much more to the story. We're joined by Barry Harris of Kon Kan to talk about the origins of the band, the success behind their hits, revisiting classic tracks, and what's next with brand new music on the way. Barry, thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast today. It's great to be speaking with you.
Hey, likewise.
So Barry, if you can you take us back to the beginning? How did you first form Kon Kan, and what was the original vision for the band?
Well, the original vision was never a band. It was the 80s, MIDI. It was at a point by the late 80s. I started toying with I was always toying with samplers and stuff, even 85, 86. And that was the beginning of all the MIDI era. So by 87, 88, you could, and at the beginning of house music with drum machines and syncing up keyboards and stuff, all around 86 or so. So around that time, you could go in and you could make your own record all by yourself. Basically, you didn't need a whole band. So I had I had toyed around with a couple of people in 87 or so, experimenting, not really doing anything. So around 88, I was bound and determined I am going to make my own record. I've got an idea for this song of using the Rose Garden thing. I had the diddle in my head, and I went back and forth to a studio that was an hour away from Toronto. I'd also often been a jack of all trades. Of course, I'd been a DJ, I'd been a musician, been playing bass and guitar and piano throughout my teens. And also, I say, working at the record store as well. And the record store is one, they'd had an independent label that they'd only put out one other record by someone else who worked there. So I said to them, I've got an idea. Would you be into putting out this record once I get it done? And said, sure, let's see what you got. So I was going back and forth to Hamilton, an hour away from Toronto each weekend, as this song was developing, working with Tom Gorenser, who had a MIDI studio out in the country in his parents' basement. He had all these keyboards all hooked up, and he basically was, okay, what do you want to do? And I said, well, give me the biggest drums you got. Let's start there. So that's how it grew and evolved, and with the, okay, what do you want to do for the diddle? I don't know. Let's go through all the sounds you got. So it all evolved over months, a couple of months. I didn't even have any lyrics written. I kind of had the I kind of had that, but I didn't really even have the lyrics until it was all forming all as one. So does that answer your question, or is that too much information?
No, that's great. I really like that deep dive into there.
It was originally, the influence is also me being at the record store and being a DJ. Were also at the time things like Bomb the Bass, How Low Can You Go, Mars, Pump Up the Volume, all this stuff that was all DJ produced projects. And that's all I thought of this as at the time. I just wanted to get a record out was my goal. There was never any kind of band or other people involved in this other than me and Tom in his basement studio.
So I Beg Your Pardon became a massive hit. Did you feel that kind of success coming when you were making it, or were you just trying to get, like you said, just trying to get a song out?
Well, it's funny. I always thought of it as, Four on the Floor, Euro-y. I felt that Europeans in the UK would get it, the concept. It never, ever, I think, for a minute crossed my mind that it would break out of the States first. I remember I tried shopping at some friends that had an independent label, and they had distributors in the UK, and I finally got it to them, and they said, um, well, what is how they put it? They said, well, it's very American. It doesn't really fit for us. And I was like, it ended up going to the UK top 5 for 2 weeks or number 3 for 2. It did better in the UK. So it just goes to show you just don't, listen to, take to heart. You just have to battle through. But so the surprise of how it took off and how quickly it took off was pretty like, what? At first, yes.
What do you remember most vividly about that song climbing the charts?
It's funny. I went through a lot of old boxes cleaning up, basically, let's say the attic, and going through a lot of different magazines and stuff. And I thought, okay, let's take the time and I'm going to revisit some of these things. What I remember, it was so immensely exciting working on the album out of Los Angeles and going to the corner magazine store to see the latest Billboard chart, to see it's actually there. Like, I knew what it was going to be a week ahead of time because Atlantic were right on top of it, But that I would say was about the most exciting time as it was going into the top 40. That was really mind-blowing to this day. Actually, I appreciate it more now. At the time, you're just like, I don't really quite understand what's happening or what this all means or where it's going. I do now. Hindsight's 2020. But yeah, it was pretty exciting. Yeah.
So if we can't talk about another song, Puss in Boots, These Boots Are Made for Walking.
I thought you knew it when I said that I would call last night. I couldn't find myself a phone. Now come to think about it, can you tell me, am I right? How do I know you were alone?
These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. And one of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you to reinterpret that classic, and how did you approach putting basically a Kon Kan spin on it?
Oh, that was easy. I remember I wrote that when I was in LA. It came to mind with that jogging, I think, at the time, and I thought, well, I knew I had to do some kind of follow-up to I Beg Your Pardon. We toyed with different ideas throughout that summer. It was what inspired it. I don't really know what inspired it. But basically, probably the stuff and once again, the sampling and the using of mishmashing of different songs and stuff. Just like, that's where there's musician in me and then there's also DJ in me. So in going that route, it's funny how a lot of people think that Led Zeppelin Immigrant Song is sampled. It's not. Mark Goldenberg, who I worked with, he was saying that. I don't think I could, at the time, I couldn't hit those notes, but he did the ah. And we got a sound alike for These Boots Are Made for Walking. It was not sampled. She came in holding her baby as he knew of a girl that mimicked different artists. I thought, okay, I'll try it. And then we got Africa Islam, which is African Bambaata's son. And his people came in, they did all the scratching and stuff and added all that stuff. So it was all came together from all my different influences, basically, all through life, basically, my musical, I don't know, just throwing it all in the pot and stirring it and let's see what happens, kind of thing.
Well, since I do have you, I have to ask you about one other standout track for me is Harry Houdini.
I wanna be like Harry Houdini and be the one to make the great escape. I wanna be where no one will see me. You've gotta learn a lesson, give and take. I wanna be where loving is easy. If I could go, it wouldn't be a tale. 'Cause when you look in my eyes, how can you not realize that I would go and couldn't give a care?
What's the story behind that song?
Oh, the story behind Harry Houdini. It's funny. I always remember exactly where I was when I came up with that stuff. That I had the dun 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 bum ba dum bum. Wanna be like Harry, be the, and then I thought, well, okay, well, he's an escape artist, not a musician. Be the one to make the great escape. And then I just kind of the words kind of came from there. Got to learn the lesson, give and take. Want to be one? No, see if I could go. Would it be a dare? Look in my eyes. That's I haven't told very many. I don't think I've told anybody that. That was kind of like more my mother was kind of very overprotecting and don't do this and don't do that. And I was always the rebel and wouldn't listen to anything she said. Anything she said, I would do the opposite. And so if I a lot of those sentiments, because when you look at my eyes, I could not realize that I could go and couldn't give a care, things like that. I'm not listening to you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be off and do this stuff anyway. So I think I scared her all the time with my what's the word I'm looking for? Cockiness, I guess, of my approach to life in general and just going to do what I'm going to do. So that's kind of what that I gotta get away, how long and things like that. My past comes back to chase me. That was kind of like, okay, eventually people are going to know that I'm a closeted gay man at the time. So things like the little ideas and fragments of stuff like that is kind of like where it just kind of evolved from.
So were there any Kon Kan songs that you believed maybe would be hits that didn't quite end up breaking through?
Oh, I always thought Sinful Wishes is one that just should have.
Money now, maybe cool. Only time will tell me if I'm a fool. Had enough, had my share. At first I really didn't want to care. Now I'm going to bed with sinful wishes. Yeah, I go to sleep with sinful wishes.
I knew locally in Toronto when we put that out on the independent label there in Toronto. I witnessed it. I saw it. I saw it was doing. Was I working at? I was probably been in and out of that record store because even after Kon Kan's success, I went back to working at a record store because I really wanted to stay back to street level and understand what's going on. I didn't want to lose that. Oh, I felt that I did on the second album. That I had a major label behind me and I can do anything and they'll all support it and push it and stuff. And when it flopped, I realized I really lost my ground of, you know what I mean? Of where I came from, knowing street sense. I felt my head got too high in the clouds there. So, but when I saw Sinful Wishes, and the dance mix of it too, actually be real and legit. And I saw people reacting in the clubs and hearing the screams and the cheers. It was frustrating to not see that. Well, it did a little bit when we redid it a couple of years as a Euro song, Without a Control. We redid it and did that, and that was a real legit hit in Brazil.
Only time will tell as we all know.
So there's another reason for me to go, oh, I've seen there's something magical about this song. I don't know what. We did get it to Cher in the 2000s in the Thunderpuss days. Mark Nathan got it to her. And she said she liked it, but didn't love it. So there's just a couple of close calls with that song.
Most part from the early 90s up until kind of like the 2010s, Kon Kan kind of lay dormant or was not active. My research was correct. We really started seeing Kon Kan kind of resurface again back in 2019 or 2014 when you revisited the track "I Beg Your Pardon."
This day or lesson, learn no more games, count me out. And you know what I'm talking about. Come along,
What motivated you to rework that track, and how did you approach it different from the original version?
Well, everything, the world and everything had changed and evolved so differently. At that point with Thunderpuss, or after post Thunderpuss, or after Thunderpuss, and of course Dive in the Pool, I was pretty much more known as a producer. I think my own personal name with in America and the States with the DJs and the club DJs at that time than ever they were in the Kon Kan days. So I felt that my name attached to it would bring more notoriety or bring more notice to it. I wanted to do it for fun, 25-year anniversary. I just thought, oh, what the hell? And I was just also more into all the remixes, the remix culture still in those days, which was really working well. And I had different friends, called up friends, and everyone basically pulled together to do it. So yeah, it was just a fun project to come back and revisit.
Well, one of my questions I had on here, I think you kind of answered it, was you also released a new version of Sinful Wishes back in 2023. You were maybe inspired to really revisit that particular song because it's one of those tracks that was near and dear to you.
Well, also because I knew I was going to tour, go down to Brazil again, and this time I'm going to go down and tour with Kimberly, and that's when I thought, well, let's combine the two now. Of I can sing it, basically did just re-sang, and we sang it more as a duet, and I thought. Well, we also did at that point when we did perform it as a band. So I kind of had the live Kon Kan version, and then there's the Euroe version. So I figured because we were going to Brazil and we are going to do track shows, I thought it would be more, I don't know, I just kind of wanted, I like doing things different. I like doing different things. So I thought that would be something unusual to do. Who does a Euro track in 2023? Like, no one. But I thought, okay, I'll mesh the two together for fun, and what the hell, throw it out there and just for fun, basically.
So between the updated I Beg Your Pardon and Sinful Wishes, do you feel like these versions better reflect where you are now as an artist?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, and doing the band version of I Beg Your Pardon that we put out on YouTube.
Get too deep, even though I'm worth so much more. So think about it carefully.
It just hit 2.7 million views, and that's in the past not even two, I don't think, not 2.5 years already. So I'm really thrilled that's almost like a reinvention all over again as well. I'm very much into reinventing and doing things that I haven't done before usually, or recreating or reconfiguring or remixing, or you know what I'm saying, kind of.
Mhm.
So to do the whole new live band version of Kon Kan in 2023, that was a lot of fun, and it's really nice that there's a good group of guys that and Kimberly are all just kind of like there, ready to go when when we feel like it, kind of thing.
So kind of the reason we are talking is Kon Kan is back. You've got some exciting new material. Starting with the first single I believe you released was Stars.
There's a shining light that burns inside of me. Sometimes I hide it, then at times it's time. I gotta set it free. I'm gonna get those stars, get that moon. Don't think that I'll be coming back down too soon. I'm gonna get those stars, get that moon. Don't think that I'll be coming back down too soon.
What inspired that track, and what does it represent to you creatively at this stage in your career?
It's funny, like, because there's a lot of older songs. That Stars started in 2013, around when we did the I Beg Your Pardon, and I just couldn't. There's certain songs when you do it in your demo, you're just like, this just isn't working. I just can't. This I don't know. I think I had Man Parrish. I had Manny do the vocoder part as well, and it just wasn't working. So I just scrapped it, put it off to the side. There's a few songs I've done that with actually, and there's some other ones other than that. So I was around 2023. I was just really motivated to redo Kon Kan stuff and do some. And I thought, well, let's go visit that now with total fresh perspective. Now that haven't thought about it for a while, and I was still struggling with lyrics. And then I had Ian, my friend Ian Nyman, the guy who also co-wrote All Things Keep Getting Better. I've been working a lot at his studio, and I said, "Will you help me co-write this song? I can't." I just stuck with it, and he's like, "Once again, what's the line you want? Push to the limit, but I'll never reach the end." I went, "No." But what did you just say? That's the line. That's the line. That's the line I was stuck on. Here I am. I'm back again. Blah 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 blah. I couldn't get that line, and he just blurted it off the top of his head. And so as it was finally starting to work, basically.
Another one of the newer songs, My Medication, has a really intriguing title. What's the story behind this song?
That I don't know how to explain that one. That was just last summer. My brother sent me basically like a demo of a type of song that was close to that, and I thought, oh, there is something here. Let's do something with this. And I changed the diddle diddle ba 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 da ba da da, and then I don't. How did that? I was going, I'm very much so last summer, I was doing a lot of walks, and that's when I was writing songs and lyrics and stuff and putting them on my phone. I do not know. I don't have a really good explanation to where that came. You're the one who opened up my heart. I don't know. Suddenly lyrics kind of come, or ideas come, and you just build later on ideas upon ideas. Some ideas work, some don't. And I was like, oh, wait, there's something here. I don't know what, but it eventually evolved. And then I thought, and I liked things that are like what, like I call it, internal eyebrow raisers. Like what? So I thought My Medication had a twist. It's enough to say like, what? That's a weird title. What's that about? Because it's not what you like, what your imagination is going to think it could be about, but it was just some kind of drug song. But anyway, so I like twists like that.
On the other single, Not This One.
He's well aware now that for years he got played. But I live my life free now. Nobody's showing me how. I live my life till my time's done. This life flies by way too fast. And some people got a sordid past, and they say all nice guys finish last, but not this one.
What's the idea that sparked this track?
Well, that was, I remember that where I was, the same kind of thing. That actually was one of those happened very quickly songs. It's all of a sudden, I'm always saying silly little things to myself. All nice guys finish last, but not this one. Oh, wait, hey, there's a song in there somewhere. So most songs, there's a connection there for some reason. If there's either if anger or love, or you've got something to say. It started with the chorus, not this one, and the nice guys finish last. Okay, so that's how it evolved, and then it evolved into when it was time to do the video. I was like, okay, well then, okay, let's go. Oh, sports, duh, and it all came together with racing the finish line, and it all just suddenly made sense, and everybody's racing for their goals and competing, and that's when I was like, oh, now sport, oh, every kind of sport, not just car races, but now every sport. No one wants to finish last, so duh. So it all came together. I thought it was kind of fun.
And the last song I have to ask you about is the most recent one, Welcome to My Head. This one features the great voice of Don Burns into the song as well. How did this track come together?
Well, once again, it's another song that I redid it back in 2011 and put it out as a solo single. Well, first of all, I don't know if you know the story about it, but going back into the Thunderpuss days. Chris and I first did this. That's a long story. I'll try to make it quick. We often worked out at Giorgio Moroder's place. Chris had a nice relationship with Giorgio and had a roommate that came in. He was working with Giorgio, so we were often up at his place up in Beverly Hills. And one day he had this in the other room. I happened to be walking by, and he had some kind of narrator talking. And I went in, I asked him, who's that narrator voice? It's really cool. Now, this wasn't Don Burns. This is a different guy. And that's when I came to with the idea for Welcome to My Head. Was also from I was DJing a lot and DJing in New York and stuff. And I was working at Twilo, and then Junior came on at 4:00 in the morning. And that's when his whole journey would begin. And it would be, the lights would be off and he'd start this whole. And that's when I got with the idea for Welcome to My Head, because it's basically what he's about to say. Our whole journey's about to begin. We're all here. You're all here. Let's do this. So that's where the inspiration for the narrating part of the Welcome to My Head came from. So we did it. We put it out. It actually went on Billboard Dance #1, and we put it just out as a white label. Worked it ourselves with the promoter and the DJs and stuff, because Thunderpuss was very hot at the time. So that's around 2003, 2002 or 3. So I redid it in 2011 and with Don Burns, because I like Don Burns even better. His voice is even more unique. So I had him. Yes, that's right. He had his own home studio because he was still doing voiceovers at the time. So I told him, this is what I want, and give me the most evil laugh you've got. And he just nailed it. First, he didn't. He had goofy things, but then I said, okay, directed him more, and then it came up with all the more in the evil clown. Give me your best. So that always stuck. So that was another thing that I thought, well, I want to redo that once again, Kon Kanize it, so to speak, this time around. What would I do with that, and how would I do it? And it kind of like, because I was thinking when I first did the album with Move to Move album that had the big long instrumental of Arts in D minor going into Harry Houdini, I thought, well, this would be a nice way to start the album possibly. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it as the first track on the album yet, but that's where that all kind of came from. I just kind of wanted to redo it. So about a month ago, I was working on it over the past couple of months, then I sunk my teeth into it much more about a month and a half ago and got her done.
So I got to ask, what made it feel like now's the right time to bring Kon Kan back?
Well, the touring in Brazil, just getting through winter. It's like to focus on, because I started just writing songs and doing walking so much. Songs were just coming to mind. It wasn't until the fall when I thought, well, the only way I'm going to get through winter is through music up here, and you're stuck indoors with snow and stuff. I thought, I'm just going to work on, maybe I will do an album. I've never ever liked doing an album because I end up doing, without sounding like a jerk, I end up doing everything with the programming and the playing the bass and the keyboards and the writing and the stuff. And it's just so exhausting just to do, one song. But this time around, I thought, what, I'm really going to take my time on this and just take months to do it And no, it's not going to be no 12 or 15 track album. No, because I'm so taking my time and tweaking everything, like a month or two on each song or going back later. So there was more just, I don't know, it just felt what the hell not, kind of, basically.
So on your social media, I love how very active you've been, dropping teases here and there, new singles here and there. You're teasing a new album. Do we know when we can expect the new album to drop?
I have not. There's three or four more. There's two more to master. I'm thinking that might be June, but I'm thinking in the middle of May. There's another song that I've been working on and with my brother that I really, really like the title. I'm not going to say what it is or what it is. I really like the title. I really like the verses. I really need to develop it more. And I'm thinking, I've been off and on. I said, we're not going to get this. Maybe I'll do another album in the winter or start. Well, maybe I'll just save it for next year. So I haven't decided yet if I really want to sink my teeth into that. So if I do that, it's probably going to be like June. But I've announced May, so I'm trying to stick to my guns to have something maybe by the end of May, to have it all out there. But I would like to include this one last song on it. So we'll see. I'm just ballparking late May.
Well, it's an album from what I've heard on the singles. I'm really excited to hear. I think our listeners would really love this and it would connect with them as well. What do you think longtime fans are going to be most surprised by the new album?
Surprised about the album? Well, will have heard three songs already that are on it. The only surprises on it, but then is something that's a little more folky and 70s sounding that I've been fighting with myself. Do I want to put this on? Is this a little too skitsy? And then there's another one that's just basically guitar. But then I'm thinking, well, the ballads that I've done before in the past were kind of fairly well received. So it's a little ballady, it's a little more folky. There's a couple of more things that are more, like I said, 70s and folky, almost. I want to say Cat Stevens is, or Crosby, Stills and Nash's, or Bob Segarish or something. I think those might be the one song might be a little more ear bending. The fact that it's so acoustical and so not synth pop at all, zero. I guess that would be the only surprise, things that are not synth pop. Because I think the Kon Kan's what's the word I'm looking for again? Painted as a synth pop band. I've never thought of myself being a synth pop. Perhaps, I beg your pardon, is other things I've done. Yeah, it's okay. Then Sinful Wishes, has been. I like doing everything. I want to do it all. That's probably been my downfall, is the fact that I just can't stick to one lane. There's too many. It's not a matter of sticking to one lane. I want to go down different highways. So that as well. So I think those would be the only two surprises. I think other stuff sticks pretty close to synthy, programmed type, keyboardy things, music sounding.
Well, Barry, my last question is one that I ask all the artists that we interview here, is what's one standout live performance that you'll never forget, whether it stand out because it was amazing, chaotic, or just plain bizarre?
Well, I think the most gratifying, the one was when we did the Brazil a couple of years ago, and I was explaining to everybody that the lighting guys that I want start the verses in the dark since you've been gone, and then when we do look at me, boom, all the lights turn on. I keep turning the pages, and by the time the lighting guys kind of figured it out, was towards the end. I was always looking for that big crowd reaction where, like, look at me, and then wow. And it finally happened towards the end. It was like, there it is. That's the effect that I always envisioned, that it would be like that moment of woo, that little rush of moment happening. And so that I don't know. It doesn't sound like a very exciting story, but to be on stage and experience what you had in mind, how that would go over, was very gratifying.
So, Barry, before we go, what's the best way for fans to keep up with everything Kon Kan, whether it be the new album, maybe some new shows that you have going on? You have some great music videos to check out.
Oh, everything I haven't said it yet. Everything you never wanted to know about me. My brother's been working on the Barry Harris Kon Kan. www.barryharris.konkan.com. And it's a pretty awesome. We haven't really announced it yet, but it is there. It's up and running. I think he's still tweaking it now and then, but you can certainly go in there and check it out. And everything, all news and everything is all there, and just everything I've pretty much done. I mean, he's documented it all. Even I'm overwhelmed. I overwhelm myself when I look back on it. It's like, Jesus, that's all the years of everything, even the flops and the other stuff that I've worked on. I think pretty much everything is in there.
Well, Barry, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. It's been a real pleasure being able to dive into the history and the future of Kon Kan.
Oh, thanks. It's been fun. Thanks, Steve. Thanks very much. It's fun.
Once again, I want to thank Barry for taking time out of his day to join us here at the New Wave Music Podcast. Looking ahead to the next episode, I'm going to be joined by yet another guest here in the New Wave Studios. John Thomas Griffin from the Red Rockers is going to be joining us. They're going to be talking about the resurgence of the band and their brand new live album. If this is your first time listening, we thank you and ask that you please subscribe. That's a great way to support us. And if you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to leave us a 5-star review. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search for New Wave Music Podcast. We'll catch you on the next episode.